Alright, so I'm starting na, no? You may finish na yung kinakain nyo muna para makakonsentrate tayo sa lecture. So we'll have only an hour of lecture this afternoon, so we'll cut it and then continue next week. No? So depende kung saan tayo matapos. But we'll start now with our objectives in preventive pediatrics. So we're tasked to define preventive pediatrics, no, its main goal in caring for children. Then discuss pediatric health supervision and the different areas it addresses. Then explain the principles of pediatric periodic health supervision. This is actually what you will see. Now, if you get hold of the PPS Preventive Handbook, nandun yan sa pinakadulo lahat ng periodic health supervision, what to do during each visit. Okay? And then of course, at the end of this lecture, no, you should be able to carry out preventive care, at least in simulated settings, and educate on the body of appropriate preventive care. Okay? And then provide information, determine various unmet needs, no, display how you're going to do no proper interviews during each assessment, including no, your warmth and interest in conducting a health supervision visit. So this is going to be the first part, no, for the preventive pediatric health care. And then the second part, no, we'll talk about, no, the most commonly used, the bread and butter ng pediatrics, no, yung pag-vaccine, no, pag-vaccinate, immunization. So that's going to be another topic, our second part of the preventive pediatrics. No? During mga previous years, immunization in children was actually part of the curriculum in third year. No? But now, we're incorporating it here, no, as part of preventive pediatric health care. So lahat ng clinical aspects, no, in immunization or vaccination, itatakal natin doon. So we'll start this with this one. Now, preventive care, no, is a well care is provided in the medical home, no, fostering strong relationships between clinic or practice, child, and family, and assisting in the provision of appropriate surveillance, screening, and sick care. Okay? Now, in pediatrics, it's a bit different in adult medicine because in pediatrics, no, you're not only dealing with the patient itself, but as well as the caregivers, no, whether they are legally acceptable caregivers, no, or not. No, yung mga parents, sila yung LAR na tinatawag, or yung mga kamag-anak, no, yung mga lolo, lola, o kaya tita and tito. No? Sometimes, sila yung mga kasama sa clinic, and of course, no, they're the ones that you're going to talk to, no, to get, no, the proper assessment to the child. Now, preventive pediatric, no, these are the different principles of health supervision. You start, or you'll have health promotion. No, you have to establish partnership. No, you have to establish communication. No, open communication, and lastly, no, continuity and coordination of care. So when we talk about health promotion, it's when you acknowledge the complex forces, no, that impacts health. Ano yung pwede mag-impact sa health? Of course, no, within the family, no, yung familial na tinatawag, socio-economic, and then educational, developmental, as well as biological entities. Partnership, this requires an appreciation of the context of each child and family, no, by communication and understanding. You educate families about health concerns, and then you acknowledge their strength. And of course, you have to acquire their trust. Otherwise, no, you will not be able to get, no, yung enough or complete history, and of course, it will not help you in the proper management. Okay? Communication is when you demonstrate, of course, respect and empathy. No? Pag nasa clinic, sometimes, no, first you have to establish muna yung trust nila bago kayo you continue yung prodding to the LAR, no, or to the parents. Kasi otherwise, no, baka ayaw nilang ipa-check up sa inyo, ipa-examine sa inyo yung kanilang daughter or son, no, or whoever, no, pediatric patients that they brought along with. So you have to listen to their concerns, no, convey understanding, and very importantly, you use non-judgmental, open-ended questions. Kasi you want them to be the one to tell the story about the patient, and not you, no, just asking for a question that will be answerable by yes or no only. Okay? And then, no, what we mean by continuity and coordination of cares, this is actually, no, related for children, no, with chronic conditions. For example, no, those patients or children who were born with congenital anomalies, no, those patients who were operated on with oncological conditions. So yan yung tinatawag na part of the continuity and coordination of care. Okay, you are the one, no, that has to or that needs to communicate with the specialist as well as collaborate with family and community resources, no, to continue, no, care of that child. So preventive care, no, covers regular scheduled visits in order to assure adequate nutrition, detect and immunize against infectious diseases, as well as observe the child's development. Now, in this topic, we're not going to detail about the different developmental milestone, no, of an infant or a child. So, separate lecture yun. I think, kamusta kayo ba doon sa topic na? Oh. So, but that is also part, no, of preventive care, no, yung developmental screening and surveillance. Adequate nutrition, no, you also have a separate lecture on nutrition and breastfeeding, no, di ba? So, part pa rin din siya ng preventive care. So, we're not going to detail as well on that area. Kaya, naiwan sa atin yung prevention against infectious diseases. Okay? Now, take note that preventive care for children and youth, of course, will offer greater opportunity for health cost savings. Diba? As the famous adage would say, an ounce of prevention, no, is better than cure, or a bout of cure. Okay? So these are the things that we need to accomplish when we see patients for healthcare supervision. So of course, we need to have a complete clinical history and physical examination. We can subject the patient for screening, and then of course do appropriate age, no, or age-appropriate immunization. You do surveillance of developmental milestone. But part of this, of course, you also have to observe the parent-child interaction. Kasi baka nagmamanage kayo medically, kaya hindi nag-improve, no, you're not dealing with the emotional, no, observations that you have. Anticipatory guidance, no, and counseling, you also have to do that, and the opportunity, no, to address concerns and questions. It's more important, no, too, because at least you will know if they did understand, they do understand what you're telling them, and also, no, if they need more information. So a task of our child care, no, are these four main, no, tasks. No, one is disease detection, then disease prevention, the third is health promotion, and lastly, anticipatory guidance. So we'll go through it, no, one by one. When we talk about disease detection, no, it's accomplished by both surveillance and screening. Okay? So surveillance, this occurs in every health encounter. So it is enhanced by the opportunity for repeated visits and observation with advancing developmental stages and the performance of a complete history and PE. No? So dito yung papasok, the surveillance. The screening, no, is the performance of a more formal process utilizing some form of tools, for example, no, laboratory tests. So for example, In anemia, no, the surveillance, we do complete history and physical examination. Okay? And you look for signs of anemia. Okay? Now, if you have some clues, signs and symptoms of anemia, then you perform screening by doing laboratory tests. So, disease detection can be supplemented by anemia screening by requesting for the complete blood count of the patient to look for the hemoglobin and hematocrit. Not only hemoglobin and hematocrit. So pag complete blood count, kasama na yung MCV. Are you familiar already with MCV? MCV, MCH, and MCHC. Yung mga mean corpuscular volume. So pag nag-request tayo ng CBC, kasama na rin yun na binibigay nila yung results. Okay? So, disease detection, of course, again, as mentioned, involves screening. So, ano-ano yung mga pwede nating i-perform for screening? So, first is the newborn screening. So, this is actually mandated under Republic Act 9288. So, this states that prior to delivery, any health practitioner shall inform the parents or legal guardian about the newborn screening. Okay? So this is a simple procedure to find out if the newborn has congenital metabolic disorders. As most babies with metabolic disorder will look normal at birth. Okay? So, ideally, it's immediately after 24 hours, done immediately after 24 hours from birth, but not later than 3 days. So pag nag-rotate kayo sa nursery, once the baby is delivered, before siya mag-discharge the following day, we perform muna the newborn screening. Same is true on what they do sa mga lying centers. Kasi kasama yan sa delivery package for, or dun sa PhilHealth na tinatawag natin, PhilHealth delivery package for newborn. Newborn screening, hearing screening, plus the vaccination. Okay? So what you do is you do a heel prick on this patient and then get 4 drops of blood. Kailangan hindi yung patak-patak. Dapat ma-occupy niya yung buong circle dun sa filter paper. Otherwise, ibabalik yan na NIH. So, National Institutes of Health, where we send the different, where we send the filter paper for analysis. Okay? So, anyway, it's dried for 4 hours, then sent na at the UPPGH. So now, for preterm, yung mga less than 37 weeks, those with low birth weight and sick neonates, you may get a sample already before 24 hours if no blood transfusion will be done. Otherwise, immediately after 24 hours from birth, and then we repeat screening at the 28th day of life. Okay? So these are the different congenital abnormalities, metabolic disorders that are being detected by the newborn screening. Congenital hypothyroidism, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, G6PD, PKU, and MSUD. So here in our country, most of the time, what we detect is this one, yung G6PD, and then followed by congenital hypothyroidism and adrenal hyperplasia. Now, in some cases, the expanded newborn screening is being done, which includes the 20 amino acid disorders, hemoglobinopathies, as well as fatty acid disorders. Okay? So, as mentioned, aside from newborn screening, we also perform the next screening, which is the hearing screening. So this is also mandated by law under the Republic Act 9709, or otherwise known as the Universal Newborn Hearing Screening and Intervention Act of 2009. So it recommends screening, whether high risk or non-high risk, among newborns or children 3 months old and below, through the use of autoacoustic emission tests, yung OAE na tinatawag. Now, in the event, take note in the event that an infant did not pass the test, kasi makikita nyo yun, sa issue nila, no? Kailangan ng repeat test or pass or fail. Meron ganun nakalagay dun sa result. In the event that an infant did not pass the test, a timely follow-up shall be made before the age of 6 months. Okay? Kasi sometimes, no, lalo na pag maraming burnings kasyo sa na-deliver yung baby, yung parang nakakita na kayo, no? So, pati yung ears niya kasi minsan meron ng gano'n. Kaya hindi masyadong nag-detect yung hearing test, yung hearing niya. No? So, parang naka-block doon. So, that's why, kapag sinabi ng test na i-repeat natin. Basta, not later than or before the age of 6 months. Okay? If and when mag-positive yung patient, mag-fail, that's when we do some other tests to confirm bakit siya merong hearing abnormalities. Okay? Now, vision screening, this is as recommended by the Philippine Society of Pediatric Ophthalmology and Strabismus, as well as PAO, no? Philippine Academy of Ophthalmology. So they recommend that it should be conducted from infancy until maturity of their visual system. So it's the single most effective way of determining a child's health. At birth pa lang, now we can already perform eye examination to detect any abnormality. No? Kasi by inspection, pwede na natin makita kung may abnormality sa eyes. And then, to confirm kung doon sa loob niya may abnormality, ano yung ipaperform nating test? Ano yung pwede natin gawin? Kung may abnormality, meron din siyang congenital abnormality. Congenital cataract, paano natin yun matitest? Di ba nag-PPD na kayo? Physical diagnosis. Ano yung ginagamit nyo pang examine ng eye? Ophthalmoscope, no? So ano yung tinitingnan sa ophthalmoscope? Ha? Alin? Ano daw? Ano yun? Anong orange yun? Ako na nga yung attendance nyo, patingin. Makatawag ako.
Orange
Ano yung attendance? Kasi attendance. Kasi hindi ko naman kayo ma-memorize, no? Dami-dami nyo. So anyway, ano yung orange na yun? Dali, abang may humahabol pa sa attendance. Ang tawag doon, red-orange reflex. So paano mo yung matidetect? Pag nag-ophthalmoscope ka, no? Actually, sa infants and children, ay sa mga newborn, madali lang yun tignan. Basta makikita niyo agad kung mayroong ROR. Kasi pag walang ROR, that means to say, may naka-block doon sa kanyang eyes, could be a cataract. Kaya hindi makapasok yung light, diba? So, by merely doing that, nakita niya na kung may abnormality yung eye niya. No, yun lang. Hindi mo na kailangan pa ng other tests. No, just perform the ROR or the red-orange reflex detection using your ophthalmoscope. Kaya pag nag-rotate ng nursery, dapat meron din no? Kasama yun sa complete physical examination. Okay? Alright. Now, aside from that, of course, marami pa rin tayo tinitingnan sa inspection of the eye. Okay? So, pag tapos na ba kayo, hindi pa? Yung PE of the newborn, wala pa kayo, no? Sige. So, pag nag-PE of the newborn, meron kayo, you will see the details, no, on what you're going to inspect. Our PPA pa rin, no, on the whole patient. Okay. So, the screening method, no, recommended are based on age group. Of course, kasi kayo, first, pag nagpunta kayo sa opta, nagpa-check kayo ng eyes nyo, anong examination ang gagawin sa inyo? You will have to use, ano yung chart na ginagamit na? The Snellen chart. Para magamit yung Snellen chart, you have to, of course, kailangan marunong na kayo magbasa. Kasi pag hindi nyo na mabasa, of course, mababa yung magiging, or mataas yung magiging assessment ng grade ng inyong eyes. Paano sa newborn? Siyempre, hindi pa naman sila kaya magsalita, no? Lalo na pag infant pa lang. So, what we do, ayun na nga, pag newborn pa lang sila, we perform muna by ophthalmoscopy to check for ROR. And then, if they're able to visualize na, no, they can see the different, or yung mga shapes objects kaya na nilang i-determine, we perform fixes and follows test. The follows test, pwede rin i-perform sa infant. Now, ano yung ginagawa doon? Di ba, usually, the babies would go, no, or would turn sa sound. So, pag may sound, pupunan yung infant. O kaya, no, yung pag nag-flash kayo ng light, no, sa eyes ng baby, sometimes they will also follow that. So, yun yung fixes and follows test. So, lahat ng free verbal children, we can do that. Now, if, for example, they're already preschooler, yun na nga, they are able to distinguish shapes, ng circle, ng square, ng triangle, then we can perform this one, no? The LEA or the LEA pictures chart, just like this, no? So, hanggat kaya nilang makita yon, no, then that's how we create, no, yung kanilang visual acuity. Okay? Now, for literate children, we use this one, no? The Sloan letters or the HOTV chart. Now, also from birth, now we also perform external inspection of the eye. I already mentioned this one. And then ocular motility assessment. No, yun na nga, you can check for corneal light reflex or crossover test. And then, of course, no, the red-orange reflex. So, the clinical practice guideline on the routine eye examination as screening tool for retinoblastoma, recommends routine eye examination for leukocoria. So yun na nga yun, para may katalang sila. And strabismus as the most presenting signs of retinoblastoma. Okay? So, we're already done with health detection. Now, we move now. No? Let's proceed now to the next task, which is disease prevention. Now, when we talk about prevention, no, it can be classified as primary or secondary. Okay? Pag primary, no, it means that these are measures that prevent the onset of illness. Ano yung best example ng primary prevention? Immunization or vaccination. No? And then, the secondary prevention is the screening measures for the early diagnosis and management of illness. So, can you give me naman din an example of a secondary prevention? An example mo. Volunteer, para hindi na ako titingin sa attendance. Kung wala mag-volunteer, tatawag ako. Hindi lang po siya kasi mga sulat na mga gagawin. Sample of secondary prevention. So, sabi, screening measures for the early diagnosis and management of illnesses. Newborn screening, secondary prevention. Hindi, nasa prevention na tayo. Screening yun. Screening. Bagay. Tama. Newborn screening. Screening yan. Anyway. So, we do measures already when we do disease prevention. So, meron na tayong gagawin aside from the laboratory test. For example, sa newborn screening. No? So, ibig sabihin, exposed na siya for a certain disease. So, since na-expose siya, we don't want that disease to progress. No? So, yun yung secondary prevention. An example, for patients who had rheumatic fever, ano yung secondary prevention natin doon? We give penicillin. No? Penicillin. To prevent rheumatic fever, to develop the development of rheumatic heart disease. Okay? Magbibigay tayo daily o hanggang a certain age of antibiotics. Okay? That's, or best example din, kasi malaming baha. Ano yun? To prevent leptospirosis, we give doxycycline. No? That's also secondary prevention. Basta na-expose na siya. Ibig sabihin, nag-well siya into flooded areas, and may potential exposure na siya, then we give secondary prophylaxis. Okay? Alright. So, in disease prevention also, no, the pediatrician or even the general practitioner needs to individualize disease prevention strategies to the community as well as to the specific family and patient. Ano ibig sabihin niyan? Now, of course, if you're in a far-flung area, no, mahihirapan tayo mag-prevent kung wala tayo in other diagnostics. Okay? So, the best that we can do, no, is deal, no, kung ano yung mga available resources, no, within that area. Alam niyo, are you familiar with mga GIDA areas na tinatawag? GIDA, G-I-D-A. Ano yung G-I-D-A? Sa public health yun. Kasi we're talking about preventive pediatrics kasi it's part of public health as well. No? So pag GIDA areas, that means geographically isolated areas. No? Sila yung mga nasa malayo-malayo na mahirap mapuntahan. So, you have to customize all your disease prevention techniques kapag wala kayong enough resources at that area. No? Yung mga nandun sa, yung mga tinatawag na doctors for the barrios, no? Sila yung nandun sa mga areas. Okay? Alright. Now, the third part of the task in preventive care is health promotion and anticipatory guidance. So this activities distinguish the well-child health supervision visit from all other encounters with the healthcare system. Okay? Only in preventive pediatrics, we do health promotion and anticipatory guidance. So pag pumunta yung well-child, aside from doing health screening, giving immunizations, we also do health promotion and anticipatory guidance. So they shift the focus to wellness and to the strengths of the family. So for example, what is being done well, and how these different things might be improved. So sa health promotion and anticipatory guidance, it depends on the age of the patient. If you have a patient who's still infant and during early childhood, now the focus here is towards answering parents' questions. Siyempre, di pa naman makakapag-verbalize yung ating patient. So, ang focus natin, yung magbibigay sa atin ng history. Okay? So, it's one of the most important priorities in a well-child visit at this age. Including, the family situation, whether there are chronic health conditions, whether there are parental concerns and other familial or family value. You screen for parental depression, family violence, substance abuse, nutritional inadequacy, as well as lack of housing. Okay? Yan yung mga kasama as health supervision assessment during infancy and early childhood. So sa nutrition, of course, you have to know, kaya pag nag-physical exam, dapat alam nyo mag-measure, kumuha ng measurements ng infant and child for you to assess whether they are nutritionally well. Kasi kung ang Z scoring nila is -2, -3, of course, aside from prevention, you also have to do some intervention to catch up their growth. Okay? Again, during infancy and early childhood, it's family-centered. So you promote family-centered care. You need partnership with parents as it increases the ability to elicit parent concern, especially about child's development, and you identify developmental disorders. Now, when an infant has already grown and moved into the middle childhood and adolescent stage, aside from what we have discussed during infancy and early childhood, pag middle childhood and adolescent na, additional considerations emerge with increasing need for privacy and confidentiality. So ito yung mga adolescents na, mga high school students or yung mga middle school children. Because at this age, the attention to developing autonomy requires both the child and patient relationship, separate from clinician-child-family relation. Because again, at this stage, they are more concerned with their privacy. So these are the 6 health behaviors that are most important in adolescent morbidity and mortality. Nutrition, Why? No, because they are more exposed now, no, yung mga fad diets. Sa mga fad diets, no? Kaya yung iba sobrang payat, yung iba naman, no, if they are not active, it can lead to overweight or obesity. Ganyan, physical activities. And at this point as well, no, they can have sexual-related behavior. They can try different substances, tobacco as well, alcohol and other drugs. And no, they are more prone to behaviors that contribute to unintentional and intentional injuries as well as no violence. Okay? So, again, no, at this point, no, you should be able to customize no, yung inyong health supervision visit for each child depending on the age of your patient. Okay? So, let's move now no, to the different or the common topics of concern no, during health supervision visit. So, this includes actually, there are many issues, but these are the more common ones that we see in the clinics. No? Yung teething, sleeping problems, toilet trainings, temper tantrums, discipline, gadgets, violence, tobacco use, and obesity. So let's start with teething. Okay? Teething this can lead to intermittent localized discomfort, irritability, gingival sensitivity, as well as low-grade fever and excessive salivation. However, at this point, majority of patients have no apparent difficulties. Okay? Yun yung sinasabi ng mga parents na nag-iipin na. No? Sometimes, it is correlated with diarrhea. Why? No, not because of the teeth erupting, but because there is gingival sensitivity, so they want to nibble a lot of things, diba? Subo sila ng subo ng no? That object may be contaminated. Yun yung magkukos ng diarrhea. Okay? Now, the Philippine Pediatric Dental Society no, endorses the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry and American Dental Association no, pertinent to preventive dental care, wherein no, that the first dental visit is recommended at the time of tooth eruption of the first tooth and no later than 12 months. Meaning, if wala pa siyang tooth at age of 1 year, they should also be referred to a dentist. Kasi, dapat by 1 year of age, meron nang nag-eruption. Right? Kasi ang gagawin ng dentist, no, they may do x-ray kung meron talagang palabas ng tooth. Okay? Otherwise, mag-iisip ng ibang possible pathology. Okay. So, for fluoride use in the prevention of dental caries in children, there are different ways to prevent early childhood caries, but you have to involve the parents. Okay? Actually, our government also supposedly have promotions for good oral health, as well as the use of fluoride varnish. So the recommendation on the use of fluoride toothpaste depends on the age. So twice daily for all age group, but the size of the toothpaste is different for each age group. Pag 6 months to 2 years, smear lang siya. Okay? And then, as they grow older, for 2 to 6 years of age, pwedeng pea-size na. And then, at 6 years and above, full length. Now, young children must always be supervised while brushing and taught to spit out the toothpaste and to avoid rinsing. Dapat kayo rin, at this stage, alam nyo na yan. Avoid rinsing after brushing. Okay? Now, topical fluoride treatment, on the other hand, prevents or reverses enamel demineralization. So this is done among children at moderate risk of having caries, at least every 6 months. But those with high risk, it should be done more frequently. Okay? Now, other anticipatory measures in preventive dental care are guidance on oral hygiene and proper diet, especially those infants who are still bottle fed at the age of 1 year and above. Tapos yung binababad sa gabi, yung pinababayaan yung bottle na nagdedede hanggang sa makatulog. Aside from it, the patient prone to develop caries, pwede din magkaroon ng deformation na kanilang tooth growth. Iba sila yung, lalo nakasali yung mga nagtatamsak din. Okay? So, cleansing teeth as soon as they erupt with washcloth or soft brushes. They may also be taught on how to do dental flossing as mature as they can be. And then, prevent withhold yung mga carcinogenicity of some food and beverage. Okay? And of course, you also have to inspect or check yung mothers or at least yung mga caregivers ng patient na oral hygiene. Kasi naman baka sila hindi marunong din ng oral hygiene, kaya pati yung patients na hindi rin maayos yung oral hygiene. So you have to instruct them as well na proper oral hygiene. Okay? So next common concern is sleep. Now you take note, these are the recommended average hours of sleep as for each age group. So as you can see, it's normal for a newborn to be asleep most of the time. Kung 19 hours silang tulog, mga 5 hours lang silang gising, in between 1 hour. But this hour of sleeping is for newborns, not for you. Lalo na pag may exam, yung 10 to 19 hours. Okay? Now, as you grow older, mas lesser na yung hours of sleep. Okay? So, lalo na pag mga elderly, pang-pila na yung hours of sleep. Now, this is important, yung sleeping, because as you have studied during your physiology, pathology maybe, the release of growth hormones happens, yung pulse ng release ng growth hormones happens during sleeping. So, totoo yun, kaya pinapatulog sa tanghali. Okay. Now, this slide now shows you the basic principles of sleep hygiene for children. There has to be a bedtime routine, same time for bedtime and waking up on school and non-school nights. Now, pag sleeping time na, dapat may quiet time, wala ng gadget. And of course, you don't send the child to bed hungry. Kundi, magigising din yan. Avoid caffeine, so not necessarily coffee, but chocolates, candies, yan. Sometimes may kasamang caffeine. Spends time outside every day para mapagod sila full day, plus meron silang physical activity. And then at night, pagod na sila, they will just sleep. Okay? Child's bedroom should be quiet and dark, maybe a little light, para makikita pa din sila ng caregiver. Child's bedroom at a comfortable temperature. And then don't use bedroom for time out or punishment because it will have a negative connotation. And no TV in the bedroom. Sa mga adults, okay yun, kasi pampatulog yung TV sa mga adults. Pero sa mga children, sa stimulant, so pwede silang hindi makatulog because of the TV. Okay? Now, next, toilet training. So, yung toilet training, this is another common concern. But, ideally, the key factor for toilet training is the readiness of the child. However, by age of 2 to 4 years, they are known to be already developmentally capable of toilet training. Okay? So, girls typically acquire bladder control before boys. And then, bowel control typically is achieved before bladder control. Okay? But always remember that the key factor here is the readiness of the child. Kasi kung hindi pa yan ready, magiging ganito yung tsura nila every time they go into the toilet. Okay? Meron na kasi mga pang-toilet train na yan na potty, no? Yung mga potty trainers. Mas magaganda yung mga. Alright, next. Temper tantrums and breath-holding spells. So these are both common during the first year of life. Because this is the only way that they can express their frustration or anger. Kasi nga hindi pa sila maraming vocabulary, no? Wala pa sila madaming words that they can express their feelings. So ang pwede lang nilang magawa, umiyak at magwala, no? So parents are best advised to attempt to avert defiance by giving the child choices. But once the child has begun a tantrum, the child can now be given time out. So pag may nakita kayo sa mga mall na nagwawala, hayaan lang yung child kasi mapapagod din yun mag-iiyak. No? Mapapagod din yun magwala. The negative part of that is pag nagwala sila and then you give yung whatever they need because it will serve as a negative reinforcement. So ibig sabihin, no, they just need to do tantrums para they can get whatever they want. Okay? So time out is the best way, no, to remove unacceptable or to train them, no, for an unacceptable behavior. So the recommendation is 1 minute per year of age. Okay? So related to temper tantrums and breath holding spells. By the way, breath holding spells, no, I don't know if you've seen one, mga baby na ang Tagalog nag-iihit, no, yung matagal na umiiyak tapos wala ng sound. Meron mga ganong baby. So, you just observe and do not do anything that is physically, cause physical injury. Kunyari, pakakatin mo sila, papaluin sila, or whatever. No? Because after that, after some time, babalik din naman yung kanilang breathing. Of course, pag nangingitin na, hindi naman, babalik usapan na yan. No? So, you just observe lang muna. And then, kasi part pa rin yung ng kanilang development. Okay? Now, when it comes to discipline, corporal punishment is not considered anymore as an effective means of behavioral control. Why? Because as children habituate to repeated spanking, the parents have to spank even harder, no, to get the desired response. And this will now lead to serious injuries. Meron pa bang napalo sa inyo dito? Yes. Okay. Kasi baka iba. Nasa culture naman natin yan. But it's a form of punishment. Yun nga lang, no? If it's repeatedly done, abuse na yun. No? Pwede natin i-report yun as physical abuse. Okay? So, punishment may be in the form of issuing a negative stimulus, not only physically, no? By inflicting physical pain, in order to reduce or eliminate an undesired behavior. So, ang recommendation, remember that sufficiently harsh punishment may inhibit undesired behaviors, but a great psychological cost. So, hindi nga nagtuloy, pero ang dami na aking na yung child. No? And as he or she grows older, he may bring that during his development. Now, the other and better discipline strategies that are recommended now, are countdown. Sa, dalawa, mabot na 100, hindi pa natin. So, countdown, pwede yun. No? Kami, may baby kami dyan sa clinical research. At the age of less, 1.5 years old pa lang siya. Pag sinabi na lang face the wall, kaya yan ang mag-face the wall. No? So, sana ganun yung mga development ng mga bata. Para early on, no, alam na nila yung, na-instill na yung discipline sa kanila. So, kasama yan, pwede yan, face the wall. But again, no, hindi lang naman dapat yung maling nagawa nila yung i-call out natin. No? Of course, if they do something that is right, that is good, you also have to give frequent approval. Okay? Ipipraise na rin naman sila. No? Para naman, they could also have positive reinforcement in their development. Okay? So take note that the cornerstone for effective discipline are consistency of parental behavior. Hindi yung pag may bisita, hindi na bawal. No? Pero pag walang bisita, physical abuse na. No? Okay. So consistency of parental behavior, open communication within families, as well as mutual respect. Okay? Now, in addition, verbal reprimand may become abusive when reprimands do not address the desired behavior, but rather assault the character of the child. Okay? So, pag nagkamali, kasi nahulog yung whatever object there is, you have to remind lang the child that next time, you be careful. Hindi yung tugtong-tugtong na, kaya ka palagi absent, ay palagi mabagay. Break mo, kaya ka palagi. Yeah, kasama, no? Because verbal reprimand may become abusive. Okay? Right. Now, last na lang, no? Kasi malapit na ang time. So, this is where we start. Now, for children in media, the AAP recommends that for children younger than 18 months, we should advise them to avoid screen media other than video chatting. Ibig sabihin, yung parents o kaya yung kanilang caregiver, nakikipag-usap kasi may interaction pa rin. Okay? Parents of 18 to 24 months who wanted to introduce digital media should choose high-quality programming. Pag nagpunta kayo sa YouTube, yung Baby Shark, siguro mga nasa 25 million views na yun. So okay yun kasi may music at saka pwede supervise ng parents. No? And then for children aged 2 to 5 years, it has to be limited to 1 hour per day. And again, whenever these children are watching, parents should co-view with them so that they can understand what they are seeing and apply it to the world around them. Okay? For age 6 and older, now we place consistent limits on the time spent. Lalo na ngayon, dami-dami na ng social media. Ngayon, pati ChatGPT, nakakausap na, no? I know one friend na, anak ng friend, no? Wala siyang masyadong kausap, but yung ChatGPT makakapag-conversion. Diba, I don't know if you've seen yung news na pinag-suicide na nakausap yung sa ChatGPT. It's in abroad, so it's okay. So, that's where the importance of supervision is for children and the use of media. So, we need to designate media-free time, such as during dinner. Yan, kayo, baka pinipigay lang sa bahay, during dinner time, cellphone time, pamangkin ko din. Then, you have to have an ongoing communication about online citizenship and safety, including treating others with respect online and offline. Okay? Alright, so we'll stop here. And then, we'll continue next time on the other different